if you are the expert, people will shut up and people will listen to you. How in the world would someone that just got hired from Allstate or State Farm, who is in a remote desk, who's never done what I had done, never been to the job site, doesn't know the homeowner, and hasn't even seen a picture, tell me anything? I honestly think that running a construction company and like construction roofing is a lot easier than running a mitigation or a cleaning company. I think the riskiest thing is to not take risk. Whatever you choose, make sure you have fun and make sure you're an expert.
Hey everybody, Jeff Jones here with another episode of Violand's GPS podcast, where we like to interview people in the trades, owners, thought leaders, and talk to them a little bit about their experiences, what they've learned, mistakes that they've made, stories along the way. And very excited for our guest today is Mr. Shawn Jackson, the founder and president of Liberty Restoration up in Hudson Valley in New York. And I've known Shawn for a number of years. He's got a great story. He's got a great team. And he's going to be humble enough to tell us about all the mistakes that happened along the way as he built up something that's pretty cool now. So Shawn, thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure.
Excited to have you. Tell us a little bit. So Liberty Restoration, obviously restoration company, and I know we're going to get heavy into the construction side first, and then how you kind of fumbled your way into restoration. Yeah. But tell us about that. Tell us about your journey into restoration and what drew you to this work, and how'd you get started?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was a tough younger guy to hold down for maybe a job or consistent showing up. So it was a little interesting. Like I worked for some friends, swung a hammer, really enjoyed that like freedom, that lifestyle, that camaraderie of like having good crew, good friends. So that was sort of what enticed me from, more of a college setting, things like that. A little ADD probably didn't help, looking out the windows, kind of like, it's sunny out, let's go. So yeah, just a blue collar background. Grew up working on farms, rode dirt bikes, raced, traveled. Didn't really, my father had a normal 40-hour work week style job, working for utility company, and just never could imagine doing it. And so I kind of just looked for other things till something stuck. And swinging a hammer was one of them when I was probably in my early 20s, like 20, 21, 22, 23. And if you're strong, you're young, you're ambitious, like you just learn quick. You learn quick. So started with framing. A lot of houses were getting built back then, so I was just on a frame crew. And slowly but surely worked my way up. Made a little bit more money and asked for opportunity. Opportunity never came. So it was like, all right, writing's on the wall, let's go. So 23 and a half, just bought a trailer, bought some tools, put a penny saver ad out and found my way.
So at 23 and a half, you start your own construction company.
Yep.
The fact that you're 23 and a half, did that help you in the fact that you didn't know any better? Maybe there was a little less fear?
No, I mean, I was scared that, I looked young too. So like,
you still look young.
So that was never a thing. Like I lied about my age probably well until my 30s, just to, tell people I was a little bit older, or they could have a little bit more trust. It's funny how I was trying to build trust through a lie, but we gotta do what we gotta do. We're youngsters. But I think a lot of what I said and then showing up and getting estimates out on time and I'm sure I was cheap back then. So it was like, we'll give this guy a shot. What's the worst thing that could happen? But yeah, I mean, I was never scared. I didn't really have a lot to lose. Like I was still living at home. I had no overhead, just the normal sort of setup. So I needed to beat whatever I was getting paid. If I was getting paid $25 an hour, I just had to beat that. And I was going to be in a good spot, so, obviously you learn about insurance and you learn about workman's comp, you learn about some expenses and taxes quick, but that's how you start a business is you learn. I learned sort of on a lag measure. Like I learned after the fact, when I had to do my taxes or I had to do my workman's comp. But those are the penalties. You either pay up front or you pay on the back end. And I kind of grew up paying on the back end for a while, but still made it work. I always had a big passion for real estate. So like when I was 23 or even younger, I was like, I need to figure out a way to buy houses. And once I saw that construction could be that avenue, that was really my big lure. Obviously being the self-employed entrepreneur where you're like, oh, I can make my own schedule, I can do my own thing. That backfired on me where you just work a lot, or you get annoyed on weekends. But that was my original enticement of like trying to generate money. Other than basic living, which was cheap when you're young. I didn't have a family, I didn't have a wife, kids, I didn't have a house yet. So it was just like, how do I buy houses? I want to do this. So that was sort of my driving force. Also having fun. Like it was rare that I had my shirt on. I had, just skater shoes, and just a couple of crazy friends working for me. So we were, messing around at delis at lunchtime and drinking monsters in the afternoon, getting sunburnt, finding fun stuff to do after work, going cliff jumping, riding dirt bikes, riding mountain bikes. And that was our company culture. It was just, wake up, get to work, sweat, work hard, be nice to people, eat good food, and have fun.
So there's that saying where, some people learn by reading and a few others learn by observing. And then there's that portion of the population that has to learn by peeing on the electric fence. You're an electric fence peer, is what you're telling me?
Yeah, I am. Good tolerance for torture.
Nice.
And usually it's self-inflicted.
So you're building houses and you're having fun. You're hanging out with your buddies. You're going to the deli. And at some point, your house building, your construction company takes the plunge. What got you? Number one, what were you thinking? And what got you into restoration? Are you happy you did it?
Yeah, I did an old process of sales. It was like just work your sphere of influence, work your sphere of influence. So I had a buddy in the dirt bike industry who was a pretty successful electrician. And we traveled, we rode, like we're friends. We still are. He still does electric work for my house right now. And he was probably 20 years older than me, but nonetheless, every Friday when I was driving home from whatever job site, I would call him. And he was always want to pick up the phone, chat with me, and give me a little bit of inspiration and just really give me the time of day. Sure, some weeks he didn't pick up, but no big deal. And then he bumped into a restoration guy that he's been friends with forever. So it was just like, I need guys. We're so busy. So he's like, guys, I'm busy. He's like, let me put this together. And he did. And that was sort of where a local restoration company that was growing, 20 years ago needed people like me. So I just came in as a sub. And, both those guys were early stage mentors for me. I'll give a shout out to Mike Mora at Zot Construction. He really was patient with me. He liked that company culture. He was crazy too. He was just 10 years older, so he was like, he laughs because my first interview with them was they had a garage space below and then office above. So I show up after we go to the deli and, I have my crew with me in the parking lot thinking it would be a 15-minute intro. And I take off my shirt. I'm getting a bird bath in the driveway, and the whole company is just watching.
That's awesome.
They're like, oh, your interview's here, and then everyone just peeks out the window, and they see me slosh a monster, wipe my face off because we were roofing, and I put a clean shirt on. Still
Classy.
Got board shorts on. Still got probably Vans or Airwalks back then. And I go up and I have my interview, and they all were just laughing as soon as I walked in.
They're like, that's our guy right there.
Literally.
On the highest roofs.
They literally said that. They were like, this guy's perfect. And I worked for them for 8 years, and I loved it. I loved it. When you're working in someone else's business, it was rather challenging to deal with temperaments and other people's management. They
Hmm.
a new project manager, less experienced than me. How are they leading me?
Hmm.
And that was sort of what I saw towards the end. I became the expert in the room, and they kind of were leaving the room, and there was just
Okay.
more and more put on me, and then there was less and less of them really like developing me. Like, what are they doing next? Like, what are we doing together? And there was never really a thought process to work for them, but it was just one of those things where 30 years old, I knew a lot about what I was good at, and the opportunity really was just very stagnant for like 2 years, and I was teaching them a lot about my industry and managing their jobs instead of managing my jobs. So
Okay.
it eventually made me motivated to break off, start my own thing. And I was fortunate. I landed one big, large loss down the street from my house. Once again, sphere of influence, local kind of deal. And at 20, I don't know, no, I guess 29, 30, I landed an $800,000 job. And
Jeez.
yeah, nowadays that's probably 1.5 million.
Hmm.
And I did a good job. Like I finished it. I actually made real money as like that was a notch up. Like that was their money that
Hmm.
I was making real GC money, not subcontractor money.
Hmm.
So that gave me a little bit of pocket change to actually invest, and
Kind of
got
build
an
the business out
office.
from
And
there.
yeah, I knew I wanted to do this. I
Yeah.
was almost like pulling myself back because I'm just a little bit early. I'm ready to go before I'm ready to go.
Yep.
Um, so luckily that job came, went well. Had some pocket change to sort of have a fluffer for the next year. It turns out it takes a while. It takes a while to start a restoration company. So that 1 year buffer I had, I sort of needed two. But nonetheless,
Those
it eventually worked out.
$800,000 jobs right down the street don't pop up all the
No,
time. No. Okay.
no,
All right.
and I
Good,
knew
good tip.
that
Good tip.
it was really just I needed something I needed that catalyst
Yeah.
to get me started.
Just to learn from and prove to yourself you can do this. So now you've got this restoration business and you're going somewhere. You're heading into the Wild West here, 90 miles an hour. Sounds like we don't have a huge plan, but we got a case of Monster in the back, and we got a couple good buddies. So at that point, there had to be a lot of challenges, man. I mean, that's not an easy. It's not an easy industry. It's not an easy thing to do. So early on, what were some of those big challenges you were facing? How'd you navigate those?
At first it was just getting to sort of like how I was young, like lie about my age. Like, I wanted to get set up a contractor connection, and I'm this tiny company that doesn't have the experience. So you had to leverage the one adjuster you knew. You had for your application, you had to, so you're fluffing a little bit.
Mhm.
But so getting set up with them was actually a little challenging because, like, when you're small and you're young, you don't really value scale. You don't really value systems processes. So, like, I was such at an infant stage of that at that time that it was rather challenging to just get set up, appreciate what they had to offer, and then get started. But that was really where I started, was like, how do I get signed up with Alacrity? How do I get signed up with Contractor Connection? Because that was sort of who I worked for, was a TPA based restoration company. They didn't have salespeople. They just got fed by them. So that was really all I knew. I didn't know there was another way. So I just slowly got through that process and cut my teeth on construction and roofing. Like
Mhm.
literally everything that everyone complains about. Oh, you don't get O&P for roofs. I was like, who needs it? Like, like who needs it? Like, I can do a $10,000 roof job in 2 days with me and a truck, and
Mhm.
like,
At that
so it
age.
was it was like I didn't understand what a lot of people were complaining about when it
Mhm.
came to construction jobs and restoration jobs, because I started in that side of it where I was the sub that got squeezed, and I
Mhm.
made a really good living at 26.
Mhm.
So it was like I never felt the squeeze. when it came to that. So like that was sort of where I cut my teeth. That was where I started. The business looks massively different today. Not TPA heavy. Still have them, still like them, still enjoy that work. But
Half of our audience
just
right now just threw tomatoes at their screen, by the way. But keep
yeah, I
going.
mean that's the thing. Like it's all about where you start and what you're good at, and how diverse. And I tell you what, when I go to those conferences and I hear people start complaining, all it is about mindset. That's it. That's it. It's just how you look at it and then what you do with it.
Mhm.
Anytime you look at something with a negative attitude, you're probably not going to come up with a positive solution. So like it's literally like if you can't get your head wrapped around it, and I see the same thing with companies that are mitigation first or cleaning first, and then they want to go to construction. It's just mindset, because I honestly think that running a construction company and like construction roofing is a lot easier than
Mhm.
running a mitigation or a cleaning company.
Yeah, I
And
would
and,
agree.
and it's basically due to the amount of heads you have to have in your building. Like I can run up five, six, I mean, right now our construction is around 6 million. And
Mhm.
like it's four people in an admin. Like
That's
two
a dream right there,
APMs.
buddy.
Like, I mean, like that's a small business. 8 people, 6 million. Like that's it. I mean, yes, we have a fleet of subcontractors.
Yeah.
So, which are vetted over the 20 years I've been in business. But that reliance, that actually running and managing people, which we all agree is probably the hardest part, is something I really got to shelter myself from being in the construction side.
Mhm.
So when it was time to go mitigation, which I didn't want to do, I really did it out of necessity. I couldn't refer to my peers anymore. They just were not answering the phone calls, not doing good work, not providing proper service. So I got frustrated. It took
Okay.
me a year or two of just passing up mold and water losses, and eventually I got frustrated and just drove to Connecticut to Ramscombe, bought a van worth of equipment.
Said, screw it, I'll do it myself.
Yeah, and so once again, like not like you mentioned, like not some massive plan. Like my plan was to not do it. Like I broke my plan. Uh, but
Then you went and
I
peed on some
really like
fences and learned some lessons.
yeah. So I mean, I really liked construction. I liked that low overhead.
Mhm.
I mean, we had a tiny office, but maybe a bigger warehouse. For
Mhm.
for all the supplies and things like that. Not a lot of trucks. Like you want to do 1 million in mitigation, like that's two vans, project manager, three employees, maybe a good subcontractor or two, an office staff, and a JFC. And it's like that's big. 1 million is like more problems than 6 million in construction. Like those scales are similar, and the profit's not. So if you are running, let's say, I hear guys try to go for 50, but like we try to average between 40 and 43 on our construction. That actual take home, yes, it's less. But it's a much bigger number. So let's say you make a net of 14 or 15 on 6 million, or you make a net, like a net,
Mhm.
of 22 on mitigation. And that's really what matters is your true take home. So
Trading a few
1 million.
dollars
So
for a
that's
lot more headaches.
yeah, so like I'm like, man, I'm not slowing down with construction at all. I only started and dove into construction because it gave me leads for mitigation leads, gave me construction leads.
Which is the
And
other way
and
than a lot of other people have done it.
and that was the mindset. I was like, how do I get more construction? And I
Yeah.
don't want more TPA construction. I need to diversify. Like that was actually
Right.
one of the first things you and me talked about when we onboarded with you.
Mhm.
You're like, how much construction are you doing with them? Like 75, 85%.
Yeah.
And
Red
like
flag.
you just like I couldn't even see you because we're on a phone call. I could tell you were like, ugh,
Yep. Uh-oh.
what'd you say?
Danger.
You're like, you might need our help more than you thought.
Yeah.
But
Like, oh, I'm shooting fish in a barrel now.
yeah. So, but that was really my motivation to start a mitigation department or even
Mhm.
start doing that. I was like, if I can get 10, 20, 30 more construction jobs, I'm like, this is going to be amazing.
Mm.
So once again, that was just a mindset, and then also it's grown into a real division, and things like that. But still, when we look at our production for the year and we do our planning, it's still like 70 or 65% revenue
Mhm.
is construction, and then the 35 is everything else. Because if you
Okay.
are getting that many mitigation jobs and you do convert, like our conversion rate is 85, 90% from MIT to construction.
Mhm.
So if you do 150, 200, mitigation jobs, like, and then you are getting regular construction jobs and referrals and TPA, like, we're doing, we're finishing a job every single day. Like that was our number last year, is 365 customers
Okay.
is what we finished. And that's
Nice.
not like, oh, one's MIT, one's construction, and I'm fluffing the numbers. I'm
Yeah.
actually toning them down these days. So I don't have a heart attack. But like we're actually finishing one customer's house per day
Mhm.
all year long, and that was like a really cool thing to get my head wrapped around. Was we're finishing 365 customers, and that was pretty much this past year.
What I love though is the diversification of the lead sources coming in. We're not reliant, early on you were. Now you've got a wider net that's coming in, which probably
Yeah.
makes it a lot more enjoyable too. It's less of a Groundhog Day
Hmm.
feel for you. So let's dive into that. You've got Liberty Restoration, obviously, the construction company. They have a big footprint now in the Hudson Valley. So what were some of the most strategic decisions that you made that were pivotal to the growth of the company?
Yeah, it's sort of the old mindset of you know find people you want to work with. So like
Yeah.
I wouldn't start a division or a push for something until I really had someone I felt comfortable with or I could work with. So I probably went a little slower or suffered a little bit with growth.
Mhm.
But I didn't want to not like who I worked with or have a lot of trust. Like I wouldn't say I have trust issues, but maybe I do. Yeah,
Maybe I do.
yeah, maybe I do. But I really wanted to feel comfortable with who I was handing my baby off to.
Yeah.
And usually I did, when it was mitigation or it was contents or mold, I spent some time in that. Like I sold it, I tasted it, I
Mhm.
met the people, like I did the process, and over time, like that's gotten shorter because I
Okay.
now I can hire people that are better or find more people that are talented. But I really did work on the vertical personally first to understand it, learn it, and then find someone that I could put there, whether it was within or outside. A lot of our people did come from outside because we were so small. If
Mhm.
there's only 8 people, it's like who the heck are you going to hire within? Like everything's just growing. So once I started finding people and learning that process of even just hiring and interviewing and talent sourcing, the divisions and the verticals sort of started to allow to grow themselves.
So that the key piece there is get a feel for it, then get a better feel for the right person who can do it better than you can,
Yeah. I mean,
and
just
empower them.
just can't cut on company culture. When we look at talent based people, I always talk about who do we like, who do we think is smart, who do we want to go do something with, not who knows mitigation or who can write an estimate. If
Mhm.
you have those 3 or 4 things, you most likely can have a lot more on the
The rest
back
you
end.
can teach.
Yeah. So we have that approach, and I mean, uh, and I wouldn't say it's like 90-10, like our hires are that way, but
Mhm.
enough. 33, 45, 50% of them are from that approach, and sometimes you get people that are both. Like one of my best friends is a general contractor, and we're trying to solicit him into the business. And I met him through construction. So it's not like, oh, I met him through dirt bikes, or I met, like, yeah, he rides dirt bikes too, and we hang out a lot, and we're really good friends for the last 3-4 years. But there is an actual spot for him now, and it is a really good possible career choice for him. So, like, why not hire that person or give that opportunity to them? So it's just it's really finding the people you like to work with.
So your advice then is, you come across somebody, you meet this person, you go, man, I'd love to have this person on my team. This person fits the culture. They could do great things if I get them in the right opportunity. You bring them on board, and then we create the opportunity for them to
a little bit. Or that opportunity is waiting. Like, how many opportunities do I have that are just like back pocket? Like, sometimes like Christina will be like, hey, we have no money. I'm like, oh. Like, well, good news. I have a $200,000 check in my truck. The owner should have some pocket resources, whether it is cash, whether it is people, whether it is opportunity, whether it is like, we need another truck. Well, I actually was looking last month. Like, that should be what a CEO or maybe not a CEO, but more of an operator should be doing, is really managing all that stuff.
The strategy side to it.
Yeah. Like, don't be surprised. Like, yeah, I knew we were lower on funds, but I also knew where my AR was. I also knew what was hiding right around the corner. So, like, a lot of those little situations are what a good operator, sort of has. So with people, it's the same way. You're always managing that talent, those people you meet, and then even the people that already work with you. Like, who do they know? Like, we had 2 really good hires recently, because we were like, just like the sales thing back in the day, we're going to work from our sphere of influence. So, company meeting, who do you guys know? This is what we need. Like I'm going to rip out a text message that's fairly generic, but enticing enough with enough information. I'm going to send it to everyone here. You send it to everyone. I'll send it to everyone. And like, we actually did find a guy 2 days later. One of our newer project managers was like, oh, this is my son's best friend. He's a hardworking kid. He's been working with us for 6-7 months. Amazing.
That's awesome.
Another technician. It was like, ask technicians for technicians, and we invited them to our barbecue. Like, we did a whole culture fit. And he's been working with us for a few months now. So really just, not Indeed ads, not going off of resumes. Like, sure, some of that helps, but I
think what you really need for that to work, though, is you've got to have a culture where your employees are like, man, I want my friends, I want family, I want more of the people that I care about to be part of this, because this is something special. So if you've got that in place first, then you can do what you're talking about. But if we don't have a culture where your own employees celebrate working there, they're not going to go tell their friends to come over there either. So you've done it the right way and built that culture first, found great employees, and now they want to share that with the people that they know, which is kind of what you did early on. You talked about it. Me and my buddies going to the deli, and then going skating afterwards, which I think is really, really cool. So, hey, everybody, thanks for listening. Project managers often face unexpected complications, scope changes, adversarial adjusters, budget constraints, tight deadlines, legal issues, and the list goes on. Sound familiar? Most are stretched thin while spending too much time reacting to chaos. Violand's Restoration Project Management Program can help you address these challenges through proven SOPs and industry best practices. It's the most comprehensive educational program in restoration. April 13th through the 18th, 2026 in Cleveland, Ohio. Get the systems you need to increase profit, performance, and service on every job. So let's switch the conversation from the fun part, the good part, in your case, the culture, the employees, the things that you really enjoy, the people you get to spend time with. And one of the biggest issues we constantly are hearing about are those insurance companies and some of the battles that take place and the conversations and however you want to word that. So, what you've learned from the industry and your ability to build cohesion and build conversations and culture, how do you interact with the insurance companies? What have you learned about navigating the claims and forming client expectations along the way that's allowed these jobs to be able to close one a day,
Yeah.
actually?
So right on the back of our trucks, it says insurance restoration experts.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I learned early on was when you're the expert in the room, people shut up. Like, I just remember being 27, knowing how to do cedar shake roofs, solder copper. I had the trucks, I had the know-how, I had the body, I had the brain. And I was in a meeting with an architect, a rich homeowner, and the general contractor. And I remember one day I started talking and everyone shut up. And I was just like, that's the first time that's ever happened.
That a little
Usually
scary?
I'm the one shutting up and listening. But someone asked me a question and I had to be very detailed and professional about it.
Yeah.
And I knew the topic, I knew the research, I spoke well, I did my piece, and then I shut up and stepped back behind the general contractor. But I learned that day that if you are the expert, people will shut up and people will listen to you. And like, how in the world would someone that just got hired from Allstate or State Farm, who is in a remote desk, who's never done what I had done, never been to the job site, doesn't know the homeowner, and hasn't even seen a picture, tell me anything? like, how can they win? I don't get it. Like, how could they ever come to bat with me?
That says it all right there.
Yeah, how could they go to bat with an expert? Like,
so now you're into the negotiation, you're into the argument, the discussion, or whatever. What are the strategies? Like, hey, you're the expert. They're sitting at a desk. They're looking at forms and spreadsheets.
oh man,
How do you get them to convert to your side?
There's so many little tips and tricks, but well, the main thing for the company was teaching all those tips and tricks. So that was really the most important thing, was getting it out of my head and getting it into other people's bodies. Because the tips and tricks, it's nothing new. It's how to negotiate, how to communicate, how to be persistent, how to be honest and upfront, how to advocate for a customer. So a lot of it is what we all know how to do. It was really just piecing it together and getting my team, the other people that drive those same trucks, to earn that badge of restoration expert. Because that was the hardest part, was getting other people up to that speed. But it's listening, it's training, it's teaching, it's being in the same room. Like, we don't have a lot of singular offices. Mm-hmm. We have a production room. There's 8 people in the production room. Like, so all those people can almost hear. What's that?
Is it like a bullpen type setting? Yeah. Everybody's just got a desk and a screen, and the guy next to him's doing their thing too?
Yeah, absolutely. So that process, that culture, was just amazing. And I was the owner, and when we first built that office, like, I sat in the bullpen. Like, obviously I've transferred that knowledge down to Jay, our ops manager, and we've both worked on the whole team together, but just we don't get beat up. Like, how, and when we do, it's almost like, have you ever gave a rational explanation to someone who was irrational?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it flushes out who you're actually talking to. So if you have that rational explanation, you have that solution, you have that data, that knowledge, how can you lose? I hate losing. So, my whole career, if I did lose, I lost 9 years ago. I hated it. The whole time I drove home from that appointment, I rehearsed, I talked about it. I even talked to a friend who was in the industry on my way home. I'd have an hour appointment. I'd go botch it, hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
I have 60 minutes to reflect on that.
Yeah.
And I spent the whole 60 minutes, and I might even be talking as I go up my stairs into my house, to myself. I just took losing really seriously. And I didn't want anyone on my team to lose either. So that was just really, really important, was like, guys, we're better than everyone that we're going up against on that side. And if you do fail, you do stumble, let's rehearse it. And that's also part of our culture, is like, rehearse, like, practice. If you need a little cheat sheet, like, let's make a list. Luckily my GM is big into systems and processes, so he wants to write everything down.
Well, I think, mistakes are going to happen, and that's fine. That's part of doing business. That's part of peeing on the fence. But did you learn from it? Did your team learn from it? Do we not do that mistake a second time? Because it's the second time you do that same mistake, that's when it's the most expensive. That's when it's the most frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, you're really second guessing what you're doing out there when this thing just keeps repeating. And also, like, I never was shy to allow myself to learn from it, or allow myself to feel pain. A lot of times, like, when there's a damaged cabinet, and you damaged it, like your pouch swung or something like that, I would say to them, I damaged it.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we can do. This is what the side effects are, and this is what my cost will be.
Mm.
And I felt that pain. And I did that throughout my, like, entire career, where I was just super honest to a fault. I made sure I paid, because I didn't deserve that money. And I figured I could learn small, like, low liability stuff before I have to really learn on something big.
Well, tell us a time then you're building these businesses, you're building this team, you're building a life, and sounds like things are progressing forward the way you want them to, but there are stumbles along the way. There are mistakes that happen. So tell us about a tough leadership call that you made, whether that was a hire that nobody else believed in, or a firing that just hurt. You don't have to give too many details there, but
Yeah, yeah,
a structural change, something along those lines that just, boy, that one hurt the gut to do.
yeah,
And
yeah.
what'd you learn from that?
And really, it's about, when you sort of believe something in your mind or your body, or your soul, and you go against it because, like, someone else sort of advocates it. And I kind of got into a rhythm where I stopped listening to other people, and I started really, or maybe I would still listen to my core group, but, just really have that feeling, have that gut instinct. That was always one of my, like, I don't call it superpower, but, like, it was always something I could rely on. If this doesn't feel right, doesn't
Hmm.
smell right, like, everything's not adding up, like, actually take action on that. Whether it's more time, or things like that. So the really relying on your gut, because anytime I went away from that and I just looked at a resume, or I just, took someone's, oh yeah, they're great, oh, then they're great, but, maybe if you told me someone was great, like, that might mean something more than if they told me, because you're in my, my peer group.
Right, right.
So really, it was just, stop listening to the noise.
Yep.
Stop listening to what works for other people, because what works for other people doesn't really work for me. And I kind of keep getting lessons, throughout my entire career, about that.
Yeah, absolutely. We run into that same issue, with having clients all over, 3 different countries, having clients, and what works perfect for somebody in Omaha, Nebraska, whose business is built one way with a specific line of work that they're doing with a certain clientele, versus somebody who's in New York City doing it completely different. And you try to pick up box A and implement it into company B, doesn't work. You have to be able to kind of customize this and think this through, and be
Yeah.
willing to make mistakes.
And uh, last year, I came to the executive summit, and I was at a round table chit chatting with a, good plumber out in Colorado,
Mhm.
and and we had a very similar upbringing. Like, started our business same age. Like, he had a similar size crew, and we both started chit chatting about, like, oh, I wonder if it'd be cool to have, like, two locations. And I feel like I've asked, like, either Tim or Kelly before, like, oh, what are the pros and cons, and this and that. And I'm always, like, trying to get some feedback. And consultants, they don't ever want to tell you like definitively, like if this is better or not for you. So, and, and I kind of came to this conclusion where I was still like searching for that answer. And I might be 2, 3, 4, 5 years away from ever even doing it, but it's in my head. Like I need to ask the questions. I need to kind of quench that thirst. And
Mm-hmm.
we're sitting there at a round table, and me and him start talking independently. And it basically came down to we always did whatever was fun. like, like literally, like how stupid of a concept is that though? Like, would it be better for me to open another branch or grow the one I have? Well, Shawn, what do you think would be more fun?
Wow.
And like we both were like, holy shit. Like, I can't believe we're like, it's that primitive or it's that simple. Like, is it exciting? Is it fun? Like, I'm a big real estate guy. So like I could maybe play or have the concept of like, McDonald's. I'll go buy a commercial building in a new territory. That'll be sort of how I continue to grow my real estate portfolio. I can put my business in that, and be one of the staples that holds it down. And like, is that fun to me? Yeah, it kind of is. So it's like, or would I really appreciate going to the same office for the rest of my life and doing the same job and being a CEO who just checks a bunch of boxes
Getting the
and
ADV in check.
yeah, like so it was just like, holy shit, like no, I don't need that at all. Like I need to do whatever is fun and whatever is intriguing.
Yeah. What's amazing there is as soon as you said that, well, what's fun? What's going
Yeah.
to be fun for you? I instantly in my head envisioned Chuck Violand saying those exact words. I mean, it was like, holy cow! I think he's written books on that. Of
Yeah.
which one's going to be more fun, and then we'll figure it
Yeah.
out. So
So
that's really cool. Let's dive down that then. That's an interesting way of looking at it because I know you've mentioned dirt biking, and I know you're into mountain biking. You're into different extreme sports and everything. You're talking about the skater shoes.
mhm.
That's part of your life, your personality. That was part of the business early on.
Yeah.
And I think we could accurately describe you then as a calculated risk taker to the extreme.
Yeah.
And that has played out in your business, and you've explained several reasons why here along the way of, well, let's just open this up and let's go do this and let's go talk to these people. But at the end of the day, what excites you more then? Is it the thrill of the chase or is it the reward at the end?
Probably the thrill of the chase. I'm usually when the reward comes, I'm already on to the next thing. So it is those micro wins along the way that I get all my satisfaction or I get my thrills from. I like selling. I like satisfying. I like coming up with solutions, being creative. Um, I never minded the work, but I had to do the work to give myself the opportunity to get those other things. Like, yeah, I like production based work.
Yeah.
Like, let's say we did a roof. Like, oh, that's monotonous. No, I got to see that whole thing ripped off by lunch. I got to see that whole thing put back on by the end of the day. I got to be tired. I got to be sweaty. I got to be strong. I got to be healthy. I got to be outside, which has always been massive to me.
Mm-hmm.
Just being outside, even if it's cold, like even if it's hot, like I'd rather be outside and drive a truck. Like I'm driving a dump trailer home, an F-350 that I own. Like, and now I'm stuck on the Tappan Zee Bridge for 2 hours.
It's almost like
Still better.
there's a 6-year-old version of you that is just
Yeah.
going, wow, I can't believe I get to do something this cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like that was always big. And even I have a 4-year old and people are like, oh, he's a little crazy or he takes risks and things like that. And I'm like, I'm literally like managing how to take risks safely
Yeah.
of a 4-year old. Like he's walking on a stone wall. Okay. It's 3 feet up. Okay. Can he fall and survive 3 feet? Yeah, he does it all the time. He jumps off stuff. So it's literally the same concept is like, how do you take risks safely and what can you actually manage? Like,
Hmm.
can I start a new thing and it doesn't work? Yeah, I can.
You
Like,
can now.
I have 100 grand, like he has enough strength in his arm to not break it. Like, I have enough, you know, financial ability and smarts and people and resources to withstand a loss if that happens. But the more he walks on stone walls, the safer he gets.
Yeah.
The older he gets, the higher the stone wall can be. So, like, how unsafe is this? What's unsafe is not letting him walk on a stone wall, in my eyes.
I would agree 100%. I've got I have a 4-year-old daughter who is absolutely a daredevil. My wife hates it, but she wants to be upside down. She wants to be flipping and twirling and running and breaking things. And yeah, I get exactly where you're coming from. And I think you and I share that perspective.
Yeah. I think the riskiest thing is to not take risk.
So let's take you outside of Liberty Restoration and Construction. Let's move you back over to the industry as a whole here. I want to ask you a couple wrap-up questions that advice for the audience, advice for other people who want to do similar things to what you're doing and want to better understand what worked for you so they can adapt it to them. You know, what are the big industry trends that you're watching right now, and how are you looking at those to shape your business strategy?
Yeah, I mean the industry trends that I see are lack of knowledge of adjusters.
Mm.
So I think that's really where, if you get your head wrapped around what adjusters are doing and possibly the games that some of the insurance carriers play, like, don't be surprised by them. Oh, they didn't call me back. Yeah.
Yep.
Why weren't you expecting that? Like, can we just, like, actually acknowledge the elephant in the room that the other side is not on your side of the table? And I tell customers that all the time. Like, imagine a closing table. You're buying a house. You're on this side. The customer, or the other person is on that side. You have your lawyer. They have theirs. Like, I'm your lawyer. You and me sit on the same side of the table. We're not adversaries. If you think we are, we're not working together. You and me are on the same team, to get this claim pushed over and actually pushed through. So trends I see is just really poor performance on the insurance carriers. And it is your job as a business owner to figure out ways to manage that and mitigate that and train your people and expect it. If you expect it and it doesn't happen and it goes super smooth, hooray. Like, you got your money, things like that. But I try just not to let these systems and processes cloud the judgment of people. Like, you build a system process, and now your people aren't smart, or they're not learning how to manage those things. Or you're wasting a bunch of time telling a homeowner something that's not going to happen. So we try to be efficient, but you get that efficiency with good people.
I love it. All right, last question for you. What advice does Shawn Jackson give to someone who just entered the restoration industry, whether this is about leadership, whether it's about team building, business strategy, whatever it is? What's the one thing that these people need to know if they want to be successful or continue to grow?
You can make money and be successful at any single one of these things that exists in our industry. Like, it's profitable. Otherwise, PE wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever you choose, make sure you have fun and make sure you're an expert. Otherwise, you're going up against me. I'm having fun and I'm an expert. Like you don't want that. Like, I'll eat your damn lunch right at that deli.
You don't want that smoke.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, or even not even me. Imagine you go to Colorado and you got that same plumber that's just like me, or anybody who's got their crap together. You can always win when you have a smile on your face. You can always start with your sphere of influence when people think you are actually good at this, or you are the expert, and they like you. Like, be happy. Like, that has to happen. If you're not happy, you're not smart, you're not hardworking. Like, you have to have those things. So pick whatever you think you want to do, but just really, really try to get as much experience, much exposure and learn as much as you can, and be the expert in the room. You'll always win.
Go all in, have fun doing it, or go find something else to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Shawn, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Jumping on early with me today. I know you got a lot going on, so thank you very much. Great time. I always enjoy talking with you. I always learn every opportunity I get to spend with you. So I will leave it to you for final say to the audience. Anything you want to tell people?
Boy, I didn't know that one was coming. Yeah, I mean, have fun. Be around your friends. Find friends. Even if you're working as a mitigation tech, like find your guys, like find your gals. The roof that you work under can be yours too. And that's really what we like to share at our company. Like, the roof isn't mine; it's ours, and you can have that even in the micro little portion of the business that you participate in. An early stage mitigation tech, when he's in that van with his buddy going to a job, that's their little roof. They can have fun. They can appreciate it. Give good customer service. Have fun with the customers. Just enjoy your day.
Appreciate it. Love it. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Do that whole like, subscribe, share stuff that the real podcasters tell you to do. We thank you, and we look forward to talking to you here again in another episode. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you.